Steve Young joined KBR and he called Kyle Shanahan a king. I love it, man. Anytime Steve Young is talking 49ers on KBR, I'm a happy man. This is appointment radio every single week, listening to Steve talk about the San Francisco 49ers because he always is bringing some level of nuance to the table that we haven't heard. And he brings out this stat that's kind of crazy. When talking about Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan, and like the success that they're having offensively. And it's crazy. I've never heard this stat before. So he really kind of discusses Kyle Shanahan, what he's doing with all these weapons. It's phenomenal. Take a listen right here as Steve Young joined KBR to talk about basically how Kyle Shanahan is a king. I love it. Take a listen right here.
I'm looking at the AFC and I'm thinking, Baltimore is good, but we're going to find out in a couple weeks when they play the Niners. Like, I just don't look at a league that's that great right now, and I think the Niners can fully take advantage of that.
Let me give you a stat.
Okay.
It blew. I have never in my life heard anything like this. If you take all of our throws behind the line of scrimmage, 0 passing yards, just take them all. Average yards per attempt for 0-yard passes leads the league. Leads the league on their own. Like all the other teams in the league throwing downfield.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Wow.
So we got to rephrase that a little bit. So what you're saying is when the Niners when they complete a pass that is for 0 air yards behind Brock drops back
behind the line of scrimmage.
Tebow catches it still behind the line of scrimmage. Even those yards per attempt is greater than every other team's normal yards per attempt.
Normal yards.
That's absurd.
100%.
That's wild.
That is insane. And so what does that say? It says that Kyle Shanahan has hit the I don't know, a triple crown. It's like the dream scenario for quarterbacks and for offenses. I'm going to make it as easy as I can for you and difficult for the defenses. And that's that stretch that every offensive coordinator has been trying to do from the beginning of time. That stat tells me that guy is the king that can create the environment with great players, that you can lead the league in attempts behind the line of scrimmage while the rest of the team tries to go downfield, yards per attempt. Wow. It baffles the mind how amazing this juggernaut is right now, and we just got to keep it going.
Talking to Steve Young here on the UMA guest line. What does pre-snap motion do for a stat like that? Does it work to get guys open? Is it just about identification?
I think it's all about. Okay, remember they changed the rules. Defenders can no longer launch their bodies. Made more in this elite athletic space field. There was more space now because defenders couldn't. They can't patrol without launching their bodies. They can't patrol as much field, and so it's like there's more space. And so when you think about the innovative stuff that's happening, the Sean McVays, the Kyle Shanahans, the Mandy Reeds, Philadelphia, Miami, Minnesota, like they see what's happening. There's space out there. How can I get the ball out quickly into space? Because it's like college more. That's why the slip screen. We never ran slip screens. They get mauled. Like there's never a chance. But now you can run them, and you can lead the league if you can get deployed with people who, like Debo, can take it to the house, who can take the pass behind the line of scrimmage. So the motion is trying to set that up. Make the defense. Motion tells the defense, I have to think. And defensive players, my old thing. Pop Warner. I told you that, didn't I, Tom?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Pop Warner, when you grew up, and they asked you what ocean what ocean is the Atlantic? What ocean is the East Coast? What ocean is on the East Coast? And that's, you said Atlantic Ocean. You played offense. If you say West Coast, I mean
defense.
You play defense. Look, I might be a defensive player now, but anyway, you get the idea. So if you motion makes defenses think. And that's not what they want to do. They want to react. They want to go. And so that every motion, especially if you're doing Christian coming from outside in, or Debo from inside out, or like you just get people in strange spaces, George, and and that's what's fun about what Kyle does every week is he's come up with ways to make the defense go, oh wait, what? And then bam, it's too late. Wait, what? Too late. And that's what's happening. That's why that stat, which is the most incredible stat I've ever heard in my entire life in football, is what's happening.
How many times, by the way, did you tell that joke to Charles Haley?
Zero.
How many times do you tell it to Reggie White?
Zero.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, when I'm in a friendly company, I can say it better too. It's a lot funnier when I say it right.
Reggie joked a lot when he was on top of you, is what you said.
Yeah.
He was like, he cracked a lot of jokes when he was like in the backfield.
Oh, yeah, Steve, great to see you, man.
Really?
Like, yeah.
Atlantic Ocean? How's this for a tsunami?
That's a
Come
great
down
story.
right in your head. And the thing is, though, when we look at this team, Steve, I look at an offensive juggernaut. I also look at a defensive juggernaut. Like I'm trying to, this may be hyperbolic a little bit, but I'm trying. How far do I have to go back to find a team? And I probably shouldn't say this until they win the Super Bowl, but what the hell? That's been this dominant offensively and defensively. Like it's not like a team you say, you know what, if we could just keep up with them a little bit, like that defense isn't very good, we got some stuff. No, because they can win a game 17-13. They can also win a game 38-35. Lately, they've been winning them 38-14, where they just crush teams. But I'm trying to remember like how far. Maybe it's probably not even that far, but it's hard to find teams that are this dominant.
None of the Patriot teams qualify.
Yeah,
because they always had a bunch of guys. Now in 2008 they had Randy Moss, but their defenses were good to great, but not. They were solid and they got the most out of everybody, and you never got felt like. And then you go back even further, like the Denver. I'm just trying to think Super Bowl champs and not Baltimore, not Denver, not
Seattle,
not Seattle. They weren't put together like this. And so you go back to like our team in '94, the Cowboys in '94, '93. Like when you played the Cowboys back then, that's who they were, right? Offensively, number one. Defensively, number one. And maybe we're missing somebody, but it's not hitting me. Like I can't really think of anybody like that. But
yeah, it's not hitting me either.
They're expanding. They're leading the league in both directions, right? And I think that's what you're saying, and that's amazing to me.
Yeah, and the star power on the teams reminds me of your teams and the Cowboy team. You just look around, and you go, my goodness, look at all this. Look at all these Hall of Famers. And I don't know if these guys are all going to be Hall of Famers, but
you think Fred will be
probably.
Dre probably could be, but Dre. I mean, you're talking about the best linebacker. Bosa. I mean, I don't know. Look at they're like, Chase Young's on the team. I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like this is crazy town. Crazy town.
And then offensively, you got stars all over the place. Now it really does. It does look like that. And I wouldn't have. I mean, I felt this way a couple of weeks ago, but I thought other teams were closer. And by the way, you may have been right about Philly.
Yeah, no, they'll return. They are not as bad as they've been the last couple of weeks.
Yes,
they'll fight back, but there's something not there.
I agree.
I'm not worried about it. Now we got to talk about the Cowboys, but I will tell you, the Cowboy offense has started to innovate. There was like 10 plays out of 70. I'm like, hey, that's something we can work with. And Dak, it helps Dak tremendously, and he's playing better because of it. So it's like, okay, they still go back and they run the I formation. Like you're like, well, let me peel my eyeballs off. I was like, what are you guys doing? Get out of the 2010. But they just can't. But yet they have transitioned. They've copied, because that's what you do with innovation. You copy until you're doing it yourself. You copy, and that's helped them. And I think that they're better fundamentally, offensively, than they were when we saw them.
But that's it, right? I mean, you look around the NFC, and it's like, nah.
Oh my gosh, no. Well, that's why you're in a 10-7 ball game in the second quarter, like last week or the week before, and 6-0 into the second quarter, and you're like, this is not right. And then all of a sudden, you just can't hold it back. Yeah. And that's why I always said, that stat I wanted from you, Adam, last week about coming out first drive of the second half. I want to go last drive of the first half. Those two drives, I mean, that's where things seem to explode for us. And they just.
Well, I guess
it feels like
got rid of those notes from last week. I guess next week. Okay.
Yeah. Harmony stole them.
Okay, all right.
Wasn't that stat that he dropped at the beginning crazy? Like the fact that they're still producing more than the rest of the league if you were just to take all the passes that they've made behind the line of scrimmage. But the point being of the stat is Kyle's being able to utilize all his weapons to take advantage of these defenses, and they just don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. He just puts opposing defenses and blenders. They have no answer, because if they do have one, he's got a counter. He's like a phenomenal boxer, man. He's just got a counter move for everything. He's setting you up, setting you up, counter. And he's just finding so much success, especially with Brock Purdy at quarterback, all the weapons that they have. Um, it's a lot of fun, man, and I love the joking that they do back and forth about, Reggie White being like on top of him, like all that stuff, man. Always great listening to Steve Young on KNBR. He did a much broader segment on KNBR, and you can find the full interview in the description of below. I put the link to KNBR's podcast network, where you can actually go directly to the interview and find it right away. Listen to it in full. They talked quite a bit about Draymond Green's suspension, and pretty funny stuff that they talked about there as well. And of course, more 49er stuff. But take a listen. Go to the link in the description. Go to KNBR's podcast network and listen to the full thing right there. But before you do that, let me know what you guys think about what Steve Young had to say. I love listening to Steve. I mean, so good. So good. Let me know. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.